pure, unadulterated amateur sports with a capital A. Now let's see what Philip Shane can do on the second two-point conversion attempt. And they got it. Right up the middle he goes.
Hey, McCaskill went up over the top and he jumped. He didn't have to go over and landed in the end zone for a two-point conversion. And this is taking on the looks of last year at this point.
Okay, so we are at the 8:16 mark, and the Blue Jays have turned 2 turnovers into some points. Actually, 2 turnovers have been turned into points. Marvin Reynolds' interception that went 36 yards to the Ferndale 33-yard line, to the Blue Jay 33-yard line. And so the Blue Jays are showing a propensity to take the football when they hang on to it and score some points. Ferndale now will try to show their ability to bounce back, as Philip Shane now will kick with the win.
Shane will be the kicker for the Blue Jays.
Back in the deep spot, Chris Mexico.
Mexico is in the middle.
To his right, Eric Stiles, and to the left is Carlos Griffin. Little short, and they need to cover it. The Blue Jays down there, and smartly right down on it for the Ferndale Eagles was number 40, that being Mike Crossley, a 5'7", 130-pound junior. And so the Blue Jays now will settle back on defense. The Eagles will try to get some points on the board here with 8:14 and counting to go in the second quarter. The Blue Jays lead it by the score of 16-7. A nice drive again by the Blue Jays. They had a 14-yarder, then they had a 9-play 67-yard drive. 4:31 is what it took. 14 plays on their last touchdown drive, 9 on this one. So they're stringing it out. And like I say, Frank, they have to be able to do this because big plays usually only come with a quarterback that can throw the football. Valerian hands it off to Claude Presley, who scored the touchdown for the Ferndale Eagles, and he gets a couple up to about the 42-yard line.
Now Southfield really hasn't stopped them on the ground. They've had, one drive for a touchdown, which was just a one-play drive, but then they had a nice march going and threw the ball for an interception to Marvin Reynolds. Ferndale can keep the ball on the ground, and I think they can eat up the time and score on Southfield.
Mike Crane comes in and replaces Rick Firth in the Ferndale lineup. 3-yard pickup for Presley as the ball sets at the 43-yard line of Ferndale. Crossley will go to the right-hand side, or Crane, that is, will go to the right side. The 3 running backs behind Adam Valerian. Tries to go up the middle and does, but there's a flag on the play as that play developed. It was number 34, Fazi Johanna, who moved the football up the middle, but it's going to be a holding call against Ferndale, so that'll set them back a few. They will talk to Marvin Reynolds, and I am sure that they will march it off.
Ferndale's got an excellent offensive line, and just as Southfield's offensive line, a great surge off the ball, tremendous contact at the point of attack. Unfortunately, it's a penalty, and it's going to be a big one. You're tempted to put the ball up in the air here, but this might be the time for a screen pass or a draw because that secondary of Southfield is tough.
So the ball will set back at the 33-yard line. The sticks are up just about, well, we'll call it the 49 of Southfield. So they have, some 27 yards to go. I'm sorry, 17 yards to go. Your wife's the math teacher, right?
Correct.
Okay. Maybe a little tutoring for the shaft. And Valerian's going to want to throw here. Well, he's not going to want to throw. He has to throw and does, and overthrows Johanna. Coverage over there by Quentin Henry. And John Bazier, I don't know if he's upset at the fact that Henry didn't get called for a penalty or the fact that the pass was thrown into traffic.
I think they wanted to roughing the passer. He got rid of the pass and got hit pretty hard from behind. And I think that Valerian feels he got face masks also on the play.
Jason Martin now will come into the lineup on this third down, and 18 yards to go. Stashevsky and Rick Firth will come out, and Michael Crane will come in for the Eagles. Now I think you'll see your screen pass or your draw play.
Well, Darryl Harper's the master of throwing it the one play early and being successful with it. At this point, everybody's yelling, watch the screen, watch the draw.
Up here, they're calling the counter play. And Valerian gives the ball to Presley or tried to throw the ball. No, it was Presley on the handoff. Far away on the other side of the field, so it'll be 4th down.
Well,
I missed that one entirely.
Well, they faked the counter and tried to get him going, and you'd listen to the Southfield coaching staff yelling counter, so you're watching the counter come, and fortunately Southfield stayed home and made the tackle.
William Watson upstairs, not with us, but he's over on the other side and keeping an eye on what's going on. Now Valerian will kick, and dropping back deep, who else? Marvin Reynolds, the line of scrimmage, the 33-yard line. Marvin had a couple of punt returns last week, one straight up in the air. So the Blue Jays, now they're going to let it roll, and they'll have good field position. The ball's going to be at the 41-yard line, 26 yards for Adam Valerian on the punt, and the Blue Jays have it at their own 41, leading in the game 16-7 with 6:04 to go. That's halfway through the second quarter. We'll talk about where we're going to be next week, Frank. It's a great matchup, Country Day and Orchard Lake St. Mary's, and I know that's one that you always look forward to.
Well, St. Mary's, they've got some of the premier players in the state, and whether you like the situation where people can recruit or bring someone in, well, Country Day and St. Mary's are both in the same boat, and boy, do they have some athletes.
Saw Leonard Renfro playing for Colorado last night, and Reese McCaskill, who plays for the Blue Jays now, goes to the 46-yard line and gets 5, and it'll be 2nd down and 5. Leonard was redshirted, and he's an outstanding young man from St. Mary's. One of the things I want to touch on later is the fact that St. Mary's will play Country Day and DePorres back-to-back, the two in their 7-2 season last year. Either victories over either one of those two teams could very possibly have given them a shot in the playoffs. So we'll talk about that in a few. Philip Shane gives it to Reese McCaskill, and McCaskill does exactly what he did the last time, plus a couple or 3. 9 yards this time, and so 14 on the last 2. He gets it into Ferndale territory down at the 46-yard line.
Well, the line blocking is exceptional. McCaskill and Reynolds have to take those guys out for a Big Mac or something afterwards, because they're heading, they've got great holes for them, and then these backs can really turn it on when they get in the open.
Tackle made by Carufus lineman, lineman number 33, who was in the defensive backfield for John Bajor's team. 1st down and 10, 46-yard line of the Eagles. Shane will throw for the first time. He throws the home run ball to Sean Allen. He's got it for the touchdown, or was he down at the 1? Touchdown, Sean Allen. 45 yards officially as the Blue Jays get on the board again, and this time long distance.
Well, here's a situation where he just outruns him. Great call. You can see them together, and the defensive back can't stay with him. Who is that? The defensive back. Roger Bourne cannot stay with him, and it's a matter of whether the quarterback can get it to him or not.
Student body left, student body right. Marvin Reynolds will hold. We'll see if Philip Shane will do it the unorthodox way, or the conservative way, if you will, and he gets it through. So 4:42 remain now in the first half, and it's 23-7. This is Sean Allen's 2nd touchdown reception of the year.
Well, Sean Allen just shows his track speed right here. I don't know if he runs track, but he ought to. He's wide open, excellent looking the ball into his hands and making the catch.
Last week, he caught a 70-yard touchdown pass from Marvin Reynolds. This week, he catches a 45-yard touchdown pass from Philip Shane. And Sean Allen gets on the board again. So I guess, Frank, when you they completed 3 passes last week, and one of them for a touchdown. They've completed 1 today, so your percentage of completions to touchdowns pretty good to start the season.
Well, you saw the graphic earlier where they had over 2,000 yards rushing last year and 179 passing. They're a running football team, and when they do throw, they have the element of surprise, and they get touchdowns from them.
Mexico, Griffin, and Stiles are back awaiting the Philip Shane kickoff. He uses the ground The ball is grabbed by 22 Jason Martin, and Martin goes to the outside. Having trouble are the Blue Jay defenders on the specialty teams, and fortunately Quentin Henry brings him down after a 25-yard return by the senior Jason Martin, 5'11", 180-pounder, and he made a lot out of that one. The Blue Jays had a beat on him.
That was good hard running on his part. You know, so often on a kickoff you got to get a seam, and he did it, and then he was made them pay the price on bringing him down.
The speed that the Blue Jays have also on the special teams allows a kick like that from Shane, because he knows if he kicks it in between people that the Blue Jays can get to that spot a lot quicker than if he outkicks the coverage. Valerian will hand it off to Claude Presley, and Presley will get a couple. Quentin Henry was there, and Capalunga was there, Darren Capalunga.
Well, that's the trap play they scored on earlier in the game. Defensive back did a much better job of stepping up into the hole and taking on the blocks.
Now back into the football game is Chris Mexico, and he'll replace number 12, and that is Michael Crane at the wide receiver or the tailback spot, depending on what play John Bazier calls, and Mexico will split out to the left side. They have 28, Styles in the slot, and we have a flag.
Defensive tackle's offsides. He's got a 2, what is it, 72?
52, Capalunga
52. Yeah.
lined up offside.
Yeah, I looked down, I saw his head over the ball, and then all of a sudden, boom, we got the official calls it right away.
There's the Blue Jays scoring drive. This one didn't take as long, but it came up with the same results. 3 plays, 59 yards, as Philip Shane hits Sean Allen from 45 yards away.
Well, we should explain to the fans that unlike college and pro, once you cross that line, it's encroachment and you're offsides.
Got to play handoff to Styles, and Eric Styles gets into the open and gets down inside the Blue Jay 40, down to the Blue Jay 38-yard line. A 10-yard pickup for Styles.
Styles is quick, and he's the one person who can match the quickness of Southfield. You see the guard pull, and Styles gets right up behind him and gets into the open, almost breaks it all the way. 5
carries, 27 yards for Eric Styles. Valerian is using all of his receivers, or all of his running backs, so all 3 of them have had substantial yardage, all 3 of the starting running backs, including, of course, Mr. Presley, who gets the ball here, and he's in trouble in the backfield. Number 64, Curtis Watson, slowed him down. Cedric Thomas was there to put the final hit on him, but it was Watson who brought him down after a loss of about 3.
Well, Donnie Terrell stayed with him. He tried to bounce to the outside after he was hit, and Terrell stayed with him, took him down.
Dion Terrell.
Dion Terrell, there we go.
Cal Fletcher's going to watch this game and think that, that somebody signed up for football without telling him.
Dion Terrell, got it.
Second down, 11, officially a 1-yard loss. Valerian is going to throw. Here come the Blue Jays. A little screen pass, and Philip Shane played it smart as he came up and just actually he took a gamble, but I think he also saw a lot of lineman numbers out in the pass pattern.
Well, the linemen were there, but there was no back to receive it. They all stood there watching, and obviously something broke down in the communication, and they couldn't. The back who was supposed to be there, Oran, wasn't in position.
I don't know if Shane read it that way or he was just taking a shot at it, but he just came flying through as if to say, you guys can't catch it without a penalty flag, and I can, and I almost did. From the 39-yard line, 3rd down, 11 yards to go. Blue Jay territory for Eagles. They try to go on the counter to Styles, and Styles is hit up top by Dion Terrell. Also, Brandon Burnett was in on the stop. The Blue Jays, a good job of reading that one, Frank.
Dion's very active out there, does a good job of anticipating where the ball is going, and I think they've prepared for the counter, and when they see it, they're all over it.
Yeah, they knew what to do when they encountered the counter.
We can punt. We can decide. We can take
it's taken them a little while because it was a similar play that sent Claude Presley down the sideline for 36 yards for a touchdown on their first play from scrimmage, and now Adam Valerian is going to call timeout. I want to remind you that in a minute and 19 seconds plus commercial time, we will have our Academic Athlete of the Week sponsored by Arbor Drugs. And also, we will take you into the Coach's Corner, a feature sponsored by Buddy's Pizza, and we look forward to you sticking around for that. We'll have the halftime scores. We'll take a look at what we have for you next week and weeks beyond, and it's a very